Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another video. Today I thought I'd take a break from cards and do some tags. So here's an example of the tag I created. It's using Vertigo paper, which is this really cool sort of plasticky pattern paper. I'm using the Lawn Fawn birthday tag set. I'm using the stamp and the coordinating die set. You can see that my tag is actually longer than the die. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I'm also using, for my balloon, I use the balloon framelits from Stampin' Up!, just the balloon here. And then here is the Vertigo paper. It comes in multiple patterns. This one is called Taffeta. All right, I'm going to start by cutting my tag. I'm going to put my magnetic platform first, then my acrylic plate. I'm going to place my cardstock and then my tag. So the part that's cutting is going in first. So I'm going to put it right there at the top of my cardstock, and then I'm going to put my next acrylic plate just over the parts that I want to cut. So I don't want to cut that bottom one because I want to extend it, so I'm going to leave this outside the acrylic plate, and then I'll run it through. And when I take it out, I'm going to actually flip it around because the next cut I make is going to be from the other side. So I'll take this out and show it to you that it's just cutting that top portion. So you have to have the full sandwich for the cutting to take place. And so I can extend it really as long as I want, but I'm just going to go to the bottom of this piece of cardstock and I'm just going to place my die back on there, and I'm going to look for that groove that I've already cut. You should be able to find it pretty easily and put it down there. And then I'm going to put my plate over the bottom portion of it, and you can overlap it as much as you want. It doesn't really matter because it's going back into that same cutting spot. And then I'll crank that one through. It really helps to have the magnetic platform. It keeps everything stable and in place. So now I'll remove my die, and you'll see my cut here is nice and smooth along the sides. Next, I'm going to stamp this. I've got my old Cricut cutting mat that I cut back to fit into my MISTI. It's still a little sticky, so I'm going to take my tag and I'm going to make sure I adhere it really well, just pressing it down to make sure it doesn't move. And then I'm going to grab my stamp and place it at the top portion of my tag. So once I get that lined up, I'm going to get it on the lid of my MISTI. And I'm going to use some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I'm going to ink this up at the top and along the sides, but not the bottom. And you want to ink this up so that it hits basically about the same distance down on both sides. So you can see it goes down about 3/4, maybe 80% of the way down on both sides. I'll do a quick cleanup here, and then I will stamp it, making sure that my Cricut mat is in the lower left-hand corner. And I don't need to mask the bottom because I haven't inked anything up. And now what I'm going to do is move my Cricut mat upward. So you can kind of eyeball this if you want, or you can clean your stamp and kind of make sure that you get it all lined up right. But you don't really want to take it off the MISTI because you want the sides to be able to line up exactly as they were. So I just kind of eyeballed it, how far up I needed to go. Then I'm going to mask the top so I don't have to worry about cleaning my stamp and maybe getting some water on my cardstock that's left over. So I'm just going to ink up now the bottom portion, and I'm going to go up to make sure I get enough coverage all the way up, but it doesn't really matter. It's just going to hit the post-it where I didn't need it. And then I'll stamp that down. I used the Cricut mat because I'm stamping right up against the edge of my cardstock, so I really needed it away from the edge of the MISTI. So it was really handy for that purpose. All right, now you can see that the stamp connects the top and the bottom without any problem. Next, I'm going to use my Vertigo paper. You can see here it's really thin. It's kind of flimsy, almost like regular cardstock. And I'm going to take my balloon die and run it through my Big Shot. I am using StazOn ink here. I forgot to show you the top of it, but it's Emerald City. It's a greenish color, and I'll have all the colors I use. And I'm using StazOn because it's a permanent ink. And you can use other dye inks, but it might rub off a little bit with your finger. This one will dry and be permanent. I'm using this die set by Ellen Hudson. It has the word Celebrate in it. I've got some black glitter paper. There's some adhesive on the back, but it's not very sticky, so I'm going to have to use some glue anyway. I'm also cutting my Celebrate out of some regular black cardstock. So I have the black glitter cardstock and also just regular black cardstock. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take my regular black cardstock Celebrate, and I've got a two-way glue pen, and I'm going to put some glue, just some dots all over the top of this Celebrate die. Now, this is going to go behind my balloon to support the glitter piece that's going to go on top. Now I've gotten some glue on my craft mat, so I don't want to get any on my balloon, so I'll just scoot this over to the side. I'm going to grab my balloon and I'm going to rotate this word a little bit so that it's diagonal on my balloon, and then I'll just drop it on top of my word die. I'm just going to press it into place, and you can see little dots of glue are going to show up, but that's fine because we're going to cover them with the other Celebrate die cut. So after pressing this for a little bit, I can pick it up and it'll stick to the back with no problem. So now I'm going to take my glittery black, and you can actually heat emboss this with some glitter or just use some regular glitter paper, just something to get it to pop a little bit with some shine. I'm going to attach my tweezers so that I can use it to place it on my balloon. I'm going to do that same dotting of the two-way glue pen, and then I'm going to place it over the Celebrate that I put on the back of the balloon. And this is going to help support the word because it's going to hang off the edge of the balloon, so I have 2 layers that makes it a little thicker. And there you have it. And it really is easy to line up because you could see through the balloon. I'm going to use some Doodlebug Black Beetle twine. I use this twine all the time. It's one of my staples. I'm going to cut a piece off and I'm going to flip my balloon over. So now I'm looking at the back of the balloon. I'm using some Stampin' Up! Glue dots because they're a little larger. They're about 1/4 inch wide. I'm going to place one at the base of my balloon with my paper piercer. And then I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to get it ready with kind of that first knot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the long piece is facing down. So I'm going to flip this over. You can see how the long piece sort of faces down. And then I'll hook it onto that bottom portion of my balloon. And then once I get it in place, I'll tie it. And right before I hit that glue dot, I'm going to pull the long piece downward. And that way when I put my balloon on the tag, the string will go straight down. And I wanted to have my tail in the back so it wouldn't be overpowering on the front. But I do want to place it. I don't want it going crazy. So I'm going to take another glue dot and I'm going to kind of position my tail where I want it to be. And then I'll put my glue dot on top. And this glue dot is pretty large, so it does a good job of covering the knot plus part of that tail that's coming out. So I'm just going to move it around. The nice thing about this twine and this glue dot is you can kind of move it to where you want it to be and it'll stay there. So now you can see everything is kind of under control. Next I'm going to take some other glue dots. I'm using these because they're much smaller. I think I guess they're 1/8 of an inch or smaller. And so I'm going to grab a few of these and I'm going to put them behind different spots of my word die so you can't see them. And these are pretty fun to use because you can curl them, flatten them, roll them. And so I kind of rolled it around the top of this L here, or actually it's the B. And once I get those glue dots down, now it's time to put it on my tag. So I'm just going to take it and press it down, and I have about 3 of those little glue dots behind there to make sure that it's very securely placed on here. And then I still have that glue dot on top of the knot, so that'll also secure it at the base. And then I'll take my scissor. I'm just going to trim out a little bit off the tail and then a little bit at the bottom. I'm just going to let it hang because I think if you're going to hang this on a gift or something, it'd be fun to have the string dangling. And that's the tag. Now I usually put the message on the back and I'll put some twine at the top or something like that and attach it to a gift bag or whatever. So I just leave the top blank until I'm ready to put it on my gift. Anyway, I made several of these at once. They were pretty quick and easy. I hope you enjoyed that and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.